Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to continue the coverage of Bryan Kohberger. He has finally landed in Idaho as of last night. It was a long day for him, you can tell. Started about 6:15 in the morning when they got on the plane and did not land till, I don't even remember the time, 8 o'clock, 8:30, my time, Central Time. And so in today's episode, I want to continue that by an article that came out from the New York Post. And I'm sure others are going to be talking about this as well. Was the suspect imitating art? Because we find out that his sister appeared in a horror movie that was actually very similar to this case. Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. Was Bryan Kohberger imitating art? He is the suspect in this case. The case of the 4 Idaho students who were brutally taken away from this world way too soon. Rest in peace to those 4 young kids. And now that they have a suspect in custody, finally back in Idaho, what is his motive? We don't know when the affidavit will be revealed. But the sister of the accused Idaho College incident, Bryan Kohberger, she has starred in a gory, low-budget slasher movie where characters are brutally stabbed, slashed, and hacked to death with knives and hatchets. That's a movie. As we know, very similar to what happened to these 4 young kids. Brutally stabbed multiple times. One of the worst crime scenes ever witnessed. That's exactly what was reported. Even an anonymous source from the law enforcement shared with People magazine, law enforcement was crying at the scene. They were in tears. It was so bad. Nothing like they've ever seen in their lives. Even the coroner said there was so much blood. And so then we find out this movie by Bryan's sister, who appeared in the movie, Amanda Kohberger. She appeared as Lori in this 2011 flick, 2 days back. And it was about a group of young students who go hiking in the remote woods and meet their grisly end at the hands of a maniac killer who has won over their trust. Could that be something that Bryan did with these girls? We don't really know. And you can see the movie depiction here. This was part of the movie that I just screenshotted. Missing Girl Found was an article, and then of a little girl. And so Amanda, she appeared as Lori in this 2011 flick 2 days back. That's the name of the movie. And you can even see here a little bit as to what this could be about. Let's see here. Now, the official trailer, as you can see, 5-year-old Emma follows a feral boy into the woods and is lost for 2 days. When people go missing and bodies begin to surface, the groups join forces. But before they can make it back down the mountain, they stumble across a hunter's cabin and Emma comes face to face with the dark mystery of her past. The similarity, number 1, Bryan's sister is in this movie. Number 2, it is about young kids who went hiking being done in very similar as to the way these girls were. That's what makes this so hard again, because why did he do this? And so Amanda Kohberger, an actress, She is known for 2 Days Back, which again, a 2011 movie where these young kids are going through the woods. Let's show you a little clip. And it almost sounds a little bit like a documentary. It's a horror mystery movie. And you can see her in the woods. She's talking about she got lost in the woods. That's the missing girl article, Emma Roberts. And I think maybe Lori, I'm not too sure. I've never watched this movie, never heard of this movie. I don't really know what the movie's about, but they're going into the mountains, so I don't really know. Sorry, I lost you there for a quick minute. But Amanda, she appeared in this movie as Lori. Again, I don't know much of this, but it's about a group of young students who go hiking, as you can see there. I don't know how to get rid of that, but it is what it is. And they go hiking in this remote woods and meet their grisly end. Now, that part is not similar to this. It's the way they were done in and the fact that his sister. So it bears eerie similarities to the knife attack in the remote Moscow, Idaho, which left our 4 young kids, the young college friends, all were also stabbed to death in their beds. Crimes that Bryan now stands accused of. He is literally now in Idaho in the small facility, the Latah County Jail. But when the director of this movie hears about this, that Bryan, the brother of Amanda, was taken into custody, he says, "You're effing kidding me. Her brother is that guy?" He says GODDAMN. I don't really want to say that word. I don't know if YouTube cares, but I care. Man, holy cow. He was blown away from what it sounds like to me. He says 2 days back. Wow. The director, Kevin Boon, he said that when he was reached out from the New York Post. I'm sure other people are going to probably be interviewing him and getting his take on it as well, right? And so I think there's something, I don't know that I really think that there is something to this. You see, Boon, the director, this was a low budget film, right? It didn't take much to produce this. He is now a professor of English and media studies at Penn State Mont Alto. And he explained that he made this film while he was a student and he had cast aspiring actress Amanda Kohberger after an open audition. That's what he is sharing about this movie. And truth is, we don't know if this had anything to do with it. We don't know the relationship between Amanda and her brother, Bryan Kohberger, he is accused of this heinous crime. The director, speaking of Amanda, says, "I remember her well. I directed the movie, wrote the movie. I cast her." So he remembers her extremely well. And he says that she is a lovely woman who was very nice. I liked her a lot. And this film, it follows a group of environmentally conscious students into the woods. They're going into the woods on a 6-day mission to catch forestry students suspected of illegally foresting others. I mean, this is pretty ugly crime in itself, but that's movies for you, right? That is nothing out of the ordinary. At least in my thought process. But could he be imitating art? Do you think that's what he was doing by any stretch of the imagination? You know, as we continue to find out a lot more about this, truth is, we may not really know. We don't know what he's going to talk about, do we? We don't really know what is in his plan. I personally think that he is going to come to an agreement to avoid trial. I do believe that. I think after they share with him everything that they know, he has no chance of getting away with this, and the death P may be on the table. Let's think about that for a second as well. Isn't that one of the things that they put out there so that, hey, hopefully you don't commit the crime, but if you do, if you want to avoid that, let's create a plea deal, right? That's always a possibility because they talk about that all the time. If you are a follower of true crime, you know that. This is really a strange case. And all we know at this time is what little bit we do know. We have been fascinated by this for a long time, right? And now, finally, someone has been arrested. Finally. But is it the right person? Even the family has said, we hope they have the right person. And a lot of us do question that. I personally, considering that they got his DNA at the crime scene of a area of a place that he should not have been found at, unless he had a close relationship with one of the girls. We don't even know that at all, right? We don't even know that much about it. If he knew Kaylee, what would that relationship look like? If he knew Xana, what would that relationship look like? Because he is said to have been stalking the girls for weeks before this incident. And then we also know that he was pulled over next to the residence because he did not have a seatbelt on a few months before this. So that really gives me chills. I personally, my whole thought process on this, justice for Idaho 4. Literally, that is literally my whole thought process around this, justice for Idaho 4. And please, if you are a person of prayer, please say a prayer for this family as they are going to be going through some hard times until there's justice in this case. And here's the truth. This guy, I'm a little worried that he knows what he's doing here. By all accounts, he literally might have been planning this for a minute. We don't know for sure. Let's make sure that we understand what I'm saying here. We don't really know all of this for sure. What we do know is what little bit we find, right? Isn't that what we continue to find? And so then we find now that his sister appeared in a horror movie similar to what happened in Idaho. You know, and this movie is about things can quickly go wrong as students go missing and then they're found slashed by knives and left to bleed out. Isn't that what the coroner said about this crime scene? That those teenagers were done this way and left to bleed out. Now, there are some differences, like we don't know of a hatchet being used in the Idaho case. We don't know of any bear traps and things like that. We don't know about any trees or anything like that. Again, we only know what law enforcement has shared with us and what some serious digging by some great internet sleuths can do. But multiple students in the movie, remember that part, that's another similar part to this case. Students end up getting done in by this twisted peer. A twisted peer. Now, in this particular case of the one that we've been following very closely, it is a mysterious case as well, right? But why? We don't know the motive, and that's why everything's up in the air. But why did he do this? Why did he do that? And so, following this 2 days back movie, you know, students go missing. In this case, students are found slashed, similar in both cases, the movie and the case. And Lori turns her back on the other people and takes off, but she's not one of the people that are killed in the movie. Lori, again, is Amanda, right? Amanda is Bryan's sister. And so Lori survives in this. I'm not saying that this has anything to do with the surviving victims as well. You know, here we have Bryan now. He's facing some very serious charges. Some very serious charges. As we learn, Amanda, who now works as a licensed school counselor in Pennsylvania. Again, Amanda, a school counselor in Pennsylvania. She too was in court on Tuesday to support their brother before he was extradited to Idaho. And her sister Melissa was there. Her parents, Michael and Marianne, were there as well. Again, the family has shared they believe he's innocent. They believe he was innocent. He arrived last night, and you can see him here. They put a helmet on him. Truly believe because of someone who could be a professional shooter from a distance taking him out. And so he is expected to plead not guilty, but you know how some people are. Hey, they believe you're the suspect. I'm believing you're the suspect, so they're going to do him in. You don't. There are some people that have, I don't understand human nature. I'm not a psychologist. I cannot dig into that. I'm not even going to play one. But he does deserve his day in court. I think that is extremely important. And so they are going to protect him, and that's why they put this protective helmet on him. He was even fitted with a protective helmet as he was brought back to Idaho and booked in a jail where he will be reportedly housed with 22 other inmates. And so News Nation, Brian Etten, he posted to Twitter where the sheriff's deputies were placing the headgear on the high-profile suspect at an airport near Moscow. Again, this was late last night, Wednesday, and they were looking to ensure his safety as he was transported to jail. Now, it's not really clear why officers decided to fit him with protective helmet, but my personal thought is to protect him from someone doing the most heinous thing to him. You know, some people believe an eye for an eye, and they don't even wait till you are found guilty. Some of them, hey, they say you're guilty. They say your DNA's there. You're guilty. I think that he has a tough road ahead of him, but I do believe he deserves his day in court. And so they fitted him with a, suicide prevention vest as well for his own safety. If he's not guilty, why would they do that, right? Well, they still want to make sure they don't want to take any chances at all. And so once he landed to the Pullman Moscow Regional Airport in Washington State around 6:30 their time, which was around 8:30 my time, and which I'm in Central, and he was being escorted to a waiting pickup truck. That's literally what was shown out there. And so now we find out that he is with his fellow inmate is reportedly accused of doing something very heinous as well in a PERV sense. So he is with an inmate who is an accused PERV. So we'll see how that goes. But he was transported to Latah County Jail in Idaho, where he was booked on the 4 counts of first degree and 1 count of burglary. And that's according to records. You can see his booking date at 6:44 their time, January 4th, 2023. His booking number 23002. And you can see offense 184001, 4 counts. no bond, court case number, CR. So if you want to follow, there is the court case number. And again, that is for burglary as well. And here is his booking photo. And, you know, his fellow inmate, Micah James DeMoss, he faces 8 counts of video voyeurism, 2 counts of child sexual exploitation material, and a RAPE count. Wow, there, he's housed with some pretty bad dudes. Well, allegedly. Someone else that he is a cellmate with, you know, another is Brandy Leah Holland, who is being held on charges of aggravated assault, possession of a controlled substance, and misdemeanor drug para. You know, that's what the outlet has been reporting. We don't really know. Everyone gets their day in court. Some people have been arrested for things they have not done, others for things they have done, but everybody gets their day. He's also housed with someone else who faces charges of involuntary domestic violence with traumatic injury, DUI, and unlawful possession of a weapon by a convicted felon. That's according to TMZ. He's not with the best of the best. But generally, if you're in jail, you did something pretty bad. For the most part, again, some people are in there that, you know, until they get their day in court, they're just in there, right? And so the county sheriff, he shared that, you know, they got room for him. Latah County Sheriff Richard Skiles told the outlet that Kohberger would be placed in a cell by himself and treated like the rest of his inmates, adding that he will be allowed to speak to his family on the phone. Today, he is expected to make his initial appearance at the Latah County Magistrate Court, where he will be read his rights, the charges against him, and will also be appointed an attorney, which we know now is Public Defender Ann Taylor, who will be his public defender. And she's already gone to work for him. Watch my video yesterday as I share that. The affidavit of probable cause, which again has remained sealed due to Idaho state law, this will become public after his court appearance, revealing information about the shocking case. Again, the judge in the case can say, no, we're going to keep this closed right now because of the magnitude of this case. We don't really know. And so he lands in Moscow in handcuffs, surrounded by 4 armed troopers to be formally charged with this after his 12-hour journey yesterday, flying 2 stops. They even evacuated the airport on one of them. I don't know about the second one, how that was done. But his first one in Champaign, Illinois, they evacuated the airport. So that is, I mean, like, wow, right? But they did not take those handcuffs off of him, and he agreed to be extradited because he says, I did nothing wrong. And so here he is, finally landed. Now the next part begins. The next part officially begins. And so here we are finding out about his sister in the movie. I think that's crazy. That is crazy, right? Stabbed to death by a maniac. This suspect, or whoever really did it, if it was him, if it's not, then I mean, then they're barking up the wrong tree. But it definitely, you know, the sister starred in this gory slasher. I literally find that very interesting because it bears chilling similarities to the crimes that her brother is accused of, right? Attacking 4 students as they slept. Unsuspecting students. The same way in the movie. Unsuspecting students. You know? So, to me, I find that very, very interesting in its own. And here is another picture of his. This is from Daily Mail. Again, they weren't reporting on it. They just reported on it. I jumped on it before them. So kudos to me, but what does that mean? Nothing, actually. Yeah, right? At the end of the day, this is not about me. And I want to make sure that we keep that in the forefront. That's about justice for Idaho 4. I'm just diving deep into what has gone on with this case from the beginning and everything that we know. That's all I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, this is true crime, and a lot of us are fascinated by diving deep into why did this happen? Who did this thing? Why would they do such a thing, right? So for us, we're just still learning and going and figuring it out. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Deep True Crime. My goal is to be a voice for the victims and to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Did Bryan imitate art? Was he doing something that resembled the movie his sister was in? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Deep True Crime. I look forward to serving you again. Peace.